Hello there, my delicious darlings. It is a pleasure to be here with you once again. How was your Halloween? I hope it was chilling without being terrifying and that you all got more treats than tricks. Looking out into my garden, I can see that winter is truly upon us. The mornings are cold, painting the grass with glittering shards of frost. The nights are crisp, and our warm clothes are making their way out of attics and cupboards to be embraced like old friends. Snuggly blankets appear on the backs of sofas, and people remember the blessings of hot water bottles and thermal socks. It took me a while to decide how to approach this month's episodes. However, considering that I still have a wealth of creepy tales translated and ready for you, and since winter has always been a time of gathering close and storytelling around log fires, I have decided to continue with the scares until December brings the magic of Christmas pouring in. I hope you will indulge me and enjoy the wintry scares to follow. Today, I have 2 spooky poems for you, one of which takes place in a strange and magical world, and the other one that's set in England. Feel free to let me know which of them is your favorite. Enjoy. The Lovers Beneath the Blood Moon. The moon is ready tonight, touched with crimson, staring down at earth like a bloodied eye. It looks down on a pair of forlorn lovers, met in a ruin to say their goodbye. The lovers are both poor. They've been devoted to one another since their childhood. They were 14 when the two spoke their first vows. They could not yet afford it, but they would one day join their lives and their homes together. The girl was pretty in her teenage years. Now, at 19, she's wondrous, resplendent. Sadly, that is the reason for her tears. Had she been plain, she might have gone unnoticed. Hard work all her family could command. Instead, a sorcerer, wicked and vicious, traded 3 wishes for their daughter's hand. Her parents were both foolish with their wishes. The girl, Elena, bartered for their lives. The sorcerer agreed to free and heal them, but only once Elena was his bride. So Elena and Duncan say their farewells, their every caress salted by sad tears. Elena begs that Duncan should forget her, let his grief pass and build to better years. He's not to imagine her a prisoner inside the spellcaster's home and his bed. She urges him to seek new love and new joy, to live life for the two of them instead of allowing heart and soul to grow bitter. Duncan kisses her hands and swears to try. He'll guard his heart against stone and look kindly upon the world, but he will never lie and pretend to forget her. She must hold faith, pretending obedience, but one day, when he finds means and power, he will return, and from her jailer carry her away. Those might have been just words, but in the moonlight, strange and bloody as that trial which brings life, something more ancient than the wicked wizard is watching Duncan and his would-be wife. The patient's soul is of the sort that early races of men had once considered powers, not gods, for there is one God and creator, but magical and gifted with more hours, more days, more weeks and years than a mere human. The power is known as the White Lady. Once, she was done to death by wicked people and buried out there underneath a tree. Her soul remained watching over the ruin, a being gentler than the wizard dark. Her bones lay in the dirt outside the far wall, but her soul stayed awake, and now she marks the sorrow in the pair beneath the blood moon, the last of her remaining strength that day. She uses to move the lovers and their kin out of that time and date and far away from black magicians and those who would hurt them. As the moon fades, she releases the world and moves into the embrace of high heaven, although not till she sees the boy and girl happily secured in a future springtime, in a place where they will live free of strife. Then she surrenders wholly. Blood moons are feared, but beneath this one, lovers gain new life and fresh hope. When the cruel wizard comes seeking his promised bride, he finds only the dawn, pinked by the faintest curve of the blushing moon. He paces, struts, and yells. He sits forlorn, not seeing something hungry in the tree line, summoned by the white lady from the gloom, ready to devour him and free the people of that time from his ill spells and foul doom. The yew where the dead things lay. The rain fell down upon the town. 2 days, then 3, then 4. The English hamlets seethed and soaked. They had known rain before, but not like the deluge that came that dark November time, when it seemed sure Sussex hamlets would wash into the brine. People stayed inside when they could. Umbrellas did no good. After what people found at the old crossroads in the wood, it seemed nothing would protect them from the ice in their veins, or restore their warm illusion of innocence again. At a crossroads deep in a wood grew an aged yew tree, stately and tall but crabbed by age, twisted artistically, until you couldn't tell which one, an artist, rain or wind, had caused its trunk to bend and curl and twisted up its limbs. It stood in a far, lonely place peopled by mists and logs, and might never have been seen had not people with their dogs, in search of solitude and space not passed regularly. Many dipped their heads in respect for the ancient yew tree. For the first 8 days, the tree endured without a complaint. The mud grew thick, a true quagmire, but the tree did not faint. After 9 days, bubbles appeared around its twisting roots. People recorded them with phones, popping in spurts and shoots. The videos appeared online. They drew some interest, but would have been forgotten. Then someone unearthed the rest. On the 10th day, the rainfall sputtered and then ceased at last. The waters had retreated some when the next walker passed. He saw a brace of things in a rough circle on the ground. Intrigued, the walker bent to investigate what he'd found. Odd things, but not, at first, bizarre. Old coins, a rusted pen, some high-heeled shoes. It must have been years since a foot filled them. A pocket watch, a small rag doll that must have been cherished, but now was soaked, as rotten and muddy as could be wished. The walker almost turned for home and left the rest alone, but he unwrapped a final rag and found a clot of bone. Within hours, men in white suits with vans were gathered around. People, they thought, must either have buried them in the ground or slipped the things into the root bowl of the grand yew tree. That would have been fine had many of them not been grisly. The thing in rags, the pallid scrap that had looked just like bone, had been a finger phalange laid down there all on its own. No other bones were connected. They found no leg, no head. My friend was a policeman. What we found was worse, he said. Other fingers were found, most of them belonging to men. They found the corpse of a small bird, a chaffinch or a wren, and older human fragments, tiny toes and fingernails, along with a thimble, a blade and several iron nails. What they found next, Christ help me, were much smaller, lighter bones. Tests confirmed they belonged to babies who'd been left alone, tucked down inside the yew tree's roots. No killers would be found. Decades or more had passed since they had been laid in the ground. The rest, nobody could have been blamed for their lying down. And yet, it drew a lot of interest from folk in town. Even after the police tape had all been cleared away, people hiked far to see the tree where all the dead things lay. I told myself several times that I refused to go. The weather didn't bother me, I'd hiked in bitter snow. But I'd long since learned to accept what my instincts told me, and they screamed that I should avoid the so-called dying tree. But oh, man's folly is so vast. As days passed calmly by, I began to question whether it would be wrong to try. What my sometimes inflamed senses could possibly tell me, if I was to walk all alone beside the dying tree. At last, I agreed. I should go in the light of full day. If anything unnerved me, then I could just walk away. Sadly, as often happens, time raced on. Try as I might, I didn't get to the place until right around twilight. I cannot say I know a reason for what I did see. But if you like, I'll tell you what my five senses told me. The tree was standing tall and pale in the purple twilight. For a moment, I almost thought it had been painted white. But then, when I looked up at it, what terror did I see? Bloody handprints were appearing all up and down the tree. The tree seemed almost to tremble as if they caused it pain. I heard a hum, some rustling, and then a hum again. When it ended, I thought I saw a figure watching me, a shape wrapped up in a thick cloak to which the shadows cleaved. I recoiled at the intrusion. Another shape crept in. The newcomer had massive eyes, jet black and glittering. That was when I felt fear and horror beating from the tree, as though it was afraid of what the things would do to me. The one with the eyes stepped forward, reached out its hand, and then I fled away, sprinting clear back to home and mortal men. Afterwards, a learned man said that worshippers would come when they wanted healing or help, money or a new home, and give a sacrifice to the roots of the old yew tree, pressing bloody palms to it to mark the deal endlessly. There are still stories of the yew tree in the haunted wood, where no act or meeting arranged will ever come to good. Seek never to wander where sacrifice was made with pain, and old wickedness was revealed by the prolonged pouring rain. Subscribe to become a delicious darling. There we go, my lovely ones. What did you think of the poems? Do you believe the legend of the yew tree? Would you be brave enough to visit if you knew it was real and were given a map of its location? Would you even go there at night? If I'm honest, I don't think I would. I have heard of people disappearing in places like that, and I would prefer not to leave this particular life right now. What about our first poem? I am delighted that the young lovers will find a way to be together. If you made it all the way through the poems, please type Blood Moon in the comments. As always, if you would like to support the channel, I would be grateful if you'd press subscribe or follow and then hit the notification bell. That way, you will not only become an official delicious darling, but you will not miss any future episodes, and you will be able to have a say in how the channel develops. Right now, I am off home to cuddle up in bed and read through a new book of scary stories. As for you, please stay warm, cozy, safe, and have sweet dreams, my delicious darlings.